Morning everybody, it's very early in the morning here in Kununurra, so join us and see what adventures we get up to on what's supposed to be our rest day. Quick brekkie this morning. It's very early, it's just after 5 AM. Behind me is the Ord River. We're going to get picked up at 6 and we're going to go exploring the Ord River itself and out into the Bungle Bungles and stuff today, so it should be a real good day for adventure, even though it is a very early start.
We're going to be going with Kimberley Air Tours. They pick us up from the campsite and we're going to follow the blue route. So we go from Kununurra down through Lake Argyle, through the Bungle Bungles, back up past the Kimberley diamond mine, over the Ivanhoe crossing and back to Kununurra. There's 5 of us in total, myself and Catrina, my mum Margaret, and we're also travelling with Jennifer McDonald and Ian Dawson from the Antique Motorcycle Club down in Ballarat, where we're from. So once Catrina's sorted out her hair and outfit, we're on our way. Let's go. So the Ord River is part of the Ord River irrigation scheme, and that created Lake Argyle, and that's what we're going to be flying over. So this is a massive irrigation scheme that was supposed to turn the Kimberley into the food bowl of Australia, and in areas it did, but other parts of it, depending who you believe and what you read, were an utter disaster. Anyway, we'll get into that a bit later. Lake Argyle is Western Australia's largest and Australia's second largest freshwater man-made reservoir. It's huge. It's 20 times the size of the Sydney Harbour. The Ord River Dam was completed in 1971 and the dam was opened the year after, but it took until 1974 to actually fill it full of water. And then in 1996 the spillway wall was raised by 6 metres, which doubled the dam's capacity even further. And by 2006 the regeneration of the Upper Ord catchment appeared to have reduced the amount of sediment inflow, which was a big problem in the lake originally. So it's normally 1,000 square kilometres, that's the surface area, simply unbelievable amount of water. The lake filled to capacity in 73 and the spillway flowed until 1984. The water in the lake is used for irrigation, for irrigating the farms around the area, and there is also a hydroelectric scheme which we'll get to later when we go there on a boat trip. Anyway, we're going to leave you to enjoy some of the fantastic scenery here. At the south end of Lake Argyle is the Kununurra National Park, and within that is the Bungle Bungle ranges. Now these are pretty amazing, and it's one of the most extensive and impressive occurrences of sandstone towers or karst terrain in the world. So it was a plateau of Devonian sandstone and it's been carved into a load of beehive shaped towers, but the thing that's special about them is if you look, they have alternating dark grey and red bands, and those bands are actually cyanobacterial crust. It's not completely understood how these were formed, but their surface is very fragile, but it is stabilised by crusts of iron oxide and bacteria. But it's a quite spectacular sight to go over it, and actually if you're there by road you can go there and you can drive around within these. There are tracks, walking tracks, and there's a campsite as well somewhere near here. For fans of outback truckers or cold chisel, there is something else here, and not just the Ord River, but just down there, although it looks dry at the moment, is Bow River, and that is where one of the musicians in Cold Chisel did his time when he was a greenhorn, or whatever you call him in the shearing and the farming industry. He worked at a station on Bow River. Just beside the Bungle Bungles as we're heading north up Lake Argyle is the Argyle diamond mine, and at one point this was the largest diamond producing mine in the world. It's open cut, or it was open cut, and it goes up to 600 metres deep in the pit. but it just became non-economically viable. So the grey area there is the washout, and the brown area in the top right there is actually the open cut pit, but they can't cut the pit any deeper, so it's not viable anymore, and it's no longer operational. Operations here ceased in November 2020, and it produced about 865 million carats of rough diamonds. We have a quick flight over the Ivanhoe crossing, which is notorious because it's where tourists stop and take a dip, which is great, but that's full of saltwater crocodiles and you really don't want to go there. It's also a place where sometimes people break down, get out of the cars and get eaten, so don't do that. Anyway, we're back and we're flying back towards Kununurra now, and it gives us a chance to go over the irrigated areas. This is mainly fruit, chickpeas, sugarcane, chia seeds, sandalwood. That's the main things that grow, but generally what people have found trying to do these irrigation plantings is that the wildlife can generally eat it faster than you can plant it, so this is part of the reason why it's been seen as a general disaster. Anyway, there we are. What a great flight, what a great visit. We can highly recommend Kimberley Air Tours, and they get us safely back onto the ground and we can get on and get back to the campsite. Well, the guys down at Tyre Plus in Kununurra have sorted us out, and we've got these chunky fellas, 8-ply tyres instead of these, which are 4 or 5-ply or whatever else, and they've got a much higher load rating. So let's give these a go, and hopefully these are good for Broome. I don't know. Well, that's that job done. Hopefully we've got no more tyre troubles. Now we've got these chunky ones on. We've got the pressures up at 75. They're 8-ply, so they can do that well within the rating of them. Yeah, and hopefully that's fixed that problem. So that's our tent right there. That's the River Ord. Well, that boat is the Triple J Tours Ord River Explorer with Sunset tour boat. So we're going to jump on this at Croc Rock, which is actually at the campsite that we're staying. This is where it docks. We're going to jump on that boat and it takes us 55 kilometres upriver all the way to the hydro dam where Lake Argyle's formed, which is as far as you can go with a boat. And then we'll turn around, come back, and we'll catch the sunset just over the river. It should be a magnificent day and the scenery is supposed to be amazing. Let's see how we get on. You can see there's quite a few people on the boat and it certainly does not hang around, but we've got to go pretty quick because we've got 110 kilometres to cover in the afternoon. So we'll just let you enjoy some of this scenery. White-breasted sea eagle and nest. A short-haired rock wallaby. Although the camera probably won't pick it up. with the yellow flowers is the kapok tree, and we'd seen these on the side of the road. Now these are imported from Afghanistan and the Middle East, and actually they were used as camel saddle stuffing, and they've grown in the wild because the seeds have fallen out of the camel saddles as people have been riding them along through Australia, and it's now flowering all over the Northern Territory and Western Australia.
Bushels tea, not sure about that. Came prepared.
And they're not the funny ones.
Came prepared.
Her family, there's 5.
Got that. Some cake stuff, paw. Pretty good spread.
After a very nice picnic, it's time to start heading up river again, and we'll get to the top of it, which is where Lake Argyle starts and the hydro scheme operates.
Yeah. It's about as big as New Zealand too, I reckon. Now that it's opened up and you've got the outer rock is a horse's head leaning down taking a drink.
Yes. Okay.
See the horse's head?
Yeah.
So as well as the Argyle Dam, which is the other side of that big dam wall you can see, providing the water for the irrigation for the Ord River scheme, it's also a hydro power station. There's 4 7.5 megawatt turbines, so 30 megawatts total capacity, but bizarrely it only ever runs at half capacity, and the reason is half of it was built to power the Kimberley diamond mine, which we saw earlier when we flew over it, and of course that's closed. What a waste. Well, this isn't called the Ord River Sunset Cruise for nothing, and you can see the light's starting to change. So the driver made it pretty quick smart back down the river so we could get back onto the lake near Kununurra so we can watch the sunset. But it gave us a chance to see how the different light changes as we go from midday when we set off through into the evening, bearing in mind the sunset's here about 5:30 p.m. and as the sun was getting down towards the horizon, the colours really did change and these orange glows started coming out. It was quite magnificent, so just enjoy some of these sunset views that we got from the boat.
mean, you get the beers and the asking.
Just hold on, guys. It's a bit of a bump.
Oh, look, there's a bottle of wine.
Great, thank you very much.
And with that, the boat headed off to go and drop other people off at other sites up the river, and we can get sorted out and ready for a tasty tea. And that was our rest day in Kununurra. What a day it was, magnificent. Here we are, tasty tea tonight. What's for tea tonight, Merralyn, after the boat trips?
After the boat trip, we all thought we were going to have hamburgers from the hamburger cart, but that hasn't eventuated because there's a queue a mile long.
Yep.
And it was easier to have our leftover sausages that we cooked last night with our chicken Kiev the other night, and with cheese and grapes and some dips and some pumpkin bread and some of Richard's bread and some coleslaw. So we are making a meal out of that tonight.
Looks delicious. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Cheers.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and please remember to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Join us next time as we head to Timber Creek and continue our journey to Broome.